We're back with another episode of the IBJJF Podcast. My guest today is Gutemberg Pereira. Gutenberg is a Brazilian national champion. He's also a Worlds and Pan silver medalist, and he's going to be competing in the IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix on Friday, November 18th. Gutenberg, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. It's
Absolutely.
a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation. So let's jump into the GP. We got the Absolute GP, like I mentioned, Friday, November 18th. We've got yourself. We've got Kainan Duarte, Cyborg, Enrique Ciccone, Gabriel Oliveira, Elder Cruz, Ryder Zuki, and Francisco Lowe. When you first saw all their names, what was your initial reaction to the bracket?
I got excited. Like I said, it was like a little different in the beginning, and then some of the names just like went away. But right now, I felt like there's a lot of young guys like hungry. Like not that I'm old, but you know, I have been like in this scenario for a long time, and I see these guys competing, and I just be very impressive with some of it, and it's very excited to be there. A lot of guys just I think got their black belt this year, so they're hungry to show stuff, and I'm hungry to make like to go against them. So it's like I'm excited, man. You know, like have Cyborg, is a OG, Kainan, and is a world champ. So it's a bracket full of good guys, and I'm very, very, very excited to compete against them. Definitely.
You've competed against some of these guys before. You just recently fought Gabriel Oliveira in Brazil. You had the match with Cyborg in the final of the Pans. Do you feel like your experience competing against some of these competitors is going to give you an advantage going into it?
I don't feel, like, being honest, I don't feel this like advantage, but I felt like I can do things a little smarter than the last time, but I don't feel like you have advantage for that. Like, experience count a lot, but I always believe fights is 50-50. I can't believe if you have been tracked competing, then you have advantage for like who's not competing for a long time. But I feel like this experience stuff is getting older because like jiu-jitsu is evolving like so quickly, and like sometimes you came with experience and the guys hit you in a new position, like getting tangling with lapels, and your experience go to the trash. So I really don't believe that, but I feel ready for whatever. Fight with experience. Honestly, like my style is like I'm not like a hold back guy. I use experience to be like I'm always flowing with the fight, but I'm excited, man. I'm ready to whatever.
You mentioned that there's some young guys in the brackets who just got their black belt, and I think something that's interesting about experience now in jiu-jitsu too is that these guys have been training since they were kids. So even though they may be new black belts, they've been training and competing for 15 years, something like that. So would you agree with that? Do you think that, like you did mention that the experience scenario or your opinion on experience has changed recently? Do you think that's a big factor in experience?
Definitely. That's experience. Like for real. Like when you be in a scenario since you're a kid, like your mind's already built on that stage. Like you get a kid like Mika Galvão. Like the dude is like his experience is like crazy. Like he knows all the pressure that, is like it's come with big tournaments. He's competing big tournaments since he's a kid. And I feel that's experience, but it's like competing at a black belt level is another thing. Like it's a completely different beast from color belts. Like you can be a world champion in a brown belt like I was. When you hit black belt, it's like a hook in the chin, and like it's different, like guys gonna like stall you and it's not gonna give penalties, and you just freak out like, oh, come on. So it's different, but I have seen like these guys competing, and they're doing good. They're doing good. I'm excited to see that the other fights as well. So how they're gonna do in the black belt, like at a high level.
When you saw all the names for the bracket, was there anyone that jumped out like, hey, that's a match that I would really like to have, or even if it's a rematch or a new match, anyone that stood out in particular that you'd like to have a match with?
Not really. Not really. Of course, when I train, I try to mentalize the toughest one, like oh, maybe I get this guy in the first match. So I mentalize the game. I mentalize the feeling that I'm gonna feel like if I face these guys like first match and stuff like this, because sometimes you're expecting a bracket, and then boom, you get the best guy in the bracket like right away.
Yep.
And you got a surprise, and this can, get your mind out of focus. So I always try to mentalize, man, my bracket is gonna be the worst, and I'll get the best guys in the bracket on my side. I'm gonna get the best one in the first fight. So I always thought that way, but I really didn't have a special guy that I want to fight like straight up. Like I really don't think about these guys. I really don't think about the guy in front of me. Like I study everybody, but when it's time to go, I really think about my performance. Like, and I have the same thing for everybody, so nothing changed.
You mentioned that you study everybody. I want to know, what in particular do you do to study your opponents? Do you watch their previous matches? Do you look back at matches you've had with them yourself? Or is it some sort of combination of those things?
So I study both. Like if I fought the guy before, I really point like my mistakes and their mistakes. If I see a guy that do the same thing over and over, that's a point that I have to pay attention. Like it's not that I'm gonna focus 100% in the guy game, but like example, like just throwing away, like if I fight Cyborg, I know like he's standing, he do that thing that he spin under, like he did that many times. I know when he's in the close guard, he's gonna try to like keep pressure like forward and go São Paulo pass because he did that many times. So it's like this type of study that I try to do, like not really focus on the game, like because when you focus on somebody, you forget yourself. But I really try to point everybody like strongest points and then go from there.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about your 2022 season because I feel like this was an amazing year for you. You won the open class at the Brazilian Nationals. You had amazing performances at the Pan and the Worlds. Was there anything in particular that you felt helped you achieve such great results this year?
Coming back to Brazil, I think that was the biggest factor in my athlete career. Like be in the gym, like be in the headquarters, and be with my friends, like training every day here is just a different vibe. I can't really like come back to an athlete life. Like I'm in Brazil since COVID started, and I'm just feeling amazing. Feeling that I'm growing my jiu-jitsu. Like my jiu-jitsu is getting better. That's the big factor. Like I'm feeling my jiu-jitsu is getting better again. Like, and this, like when you feel that your jiu-jitsu is getting better, your confidence automatically like increase. So I'm really feeling like my jiu-jitsu is like I'm improving. I'm getting better.
I want to talk a little bit more about that because you mentioned going back to Brazil, like you said, was huge for you. And a lot of people nowadays are talking about the right type of environment to really thrive as an athlete. Some people say you need to be at a specific gym or training with specific people. But for you, it seems like it was different. You were in the US and then you went back to Brazil, and that's when you felt like you had more success. So can you talk a little bit more about the importance of your environment for your success?
Oh, definitely. So my environment in the United States was good. Like, don't understand me wrong. I just had a lot of functions. Like I just have a lot of things to do. And then my athlete life, like I said, run a business and be an athlete, it's very difficult. I'm very, like I really have a big respect for the guys that can do this. Like run a business and then be an athlete. But a lot of the guys that you see like doing this, they have the wife behind, like helping a lot. They have somebody that's taking care of. So make it easier for the guy focus on being an athlete, But for the guys that really did that, like being an entrepreneur, like open a gym and be an athlete and be successful in both, man, that's crazy. Honestly, I couldn't. Like I failed like miserably. But was a good experience, I had the feeling like how is the United States about like to be successful, really have to work here. Like, you have to work hard. But was hitting me in my athlete life. In a point leaving the United States, I had a very good training. I took all the boys from Brazil to spend a little time with me in the United States, and I have about like 7 to 8 guys with me. and but it was very complicated because I have to take care, like, you know, worry about these guys, how this guy's gonna eat, and all this. So it was always something taking my mind off, you know, like out of the training, like focus on training, and I was stressful. So when I came back to Brazil, I just like was like able to focus 100% in competing and get better. Like I was not worrying about nobody else just besides me. So come back to Brazil was like the best thing for me in that moment.
What's your schedule like now in Brazil in terms of training when you're preparing for a big tournament like the IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix or one of the major championships?
Right now I'm doing 3 to 4 sessions, just depending on the day. I do technique in the morning, and then I go sparring, then I go physical training, and then at night I do specific training or just light rolls. But it's like 3 to 4 sessions a day. In the morning, I like lunchtime, I do like the hardest training, which is the 11 a.m. training in Rio, like in the headquarters, like very, very famous here in Rio. And that's the toughest training, I guess, in the city. Like, if not in Brazil, I think that's the toughest training that we have. But after that, it's just like physical training or just specific training, stuff like this.
Well, like I said, your results have been amazing this year. So it seems like the new schedule and the new routine's paying off. And I wanted to ask you too.
That's the thing. I just think about jiu-jitsu, you know, like when I'm home, I'm studying, like I'm watching videos. Not every day, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've been in my computer all day studying, but when I have a competition, I try to get very disciplined with this. Like, it's part of the job. Like, at least 1 hour. Like, usually I get, like, at night, I get my food, I sit in the computer, I put some fights, and I'm eating, like, watching stuff like this, and then I get from there. But I'm not gonna be like oh, I study all. No, I'm not like this. But I try to do my best to study, because like if I put in the paper, I have been training for 14 years, and in my color belts, I was obsessed with videos. Like, I was obsessed with like fights and instructionals, all this. Like, I still be like watching stuff, but I guess like not like before.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into my next question. We talk a lot about the evolution of jiu-jitsu on this podcast, and I feel like one of the areas where it's evolved the most is in the heavier weight divisions. You have guys like yourself, guys like Kynan, guys like Cyborg. You guys are big, but you're also really athletic, really fast, and really technical. Yeah. How do you feel like the evolution of the game has changed in terms of the heavier weight classes?
Man, that's a very good point. Like, I felt like was phased. Like, Cyborg is one of the main guys, like, because he's an old school. Like, Cyborg's fighting since Roger times, you know, and I always look up to his game, like the tornado, like the stuff that he do, like the tornado and stuff like this. I always watch him fighting, and then Buchecha came up like with athleticism. Like, I never see a heavyweight move like Buchecha. Like, he's very explosive, very strong, flexible. Like, Buchecha was a combo, like the nightmare combo, you know, like 130 kilos with everything. And it's just like, so I always try to look up to that guys, and then try to put the lightweight game on top of this. You know, like, if you pay attention to my game, I play like Spider, Lasso, De La Riva, I do berimbolos and stuff like this. Like, I feel like the new generation, like Victor Hugo translate that good. Roosevelt translate that good. Philip Andrew translate that good. Like, all these guys, like myself, like all these heavyweight guys translate that pretty well.
Yeah, one of the techniques I wanted to ask you about that you do really well, that's a perfect example of this, is that armbar that you do from the lasso position. You take the lasso out, attack the arm, you hit that at the Pans, got a finish, you attempt it at the Worlds. Yeah. You've done it a bunch. How long have you been doing that technique, and how many submissions have you gotten with it in competition?
Oh, man, a lot. That's a lot, but I feel like in a black belt, like high level, guys already know what they're going to do. Like, so they already like put their elbow like inside. But I have been doing this since color belts. That's something very powerful. I don't do that on training because that hurts. But in the tournament, I really try to do this because, especially when I'm fighting like heavyweight guys, like really heavy dudes, because they're slow. So I'm a little faster. So then when I start changing my legs like fast, they don't catch the timing, you know. So the time that I'm like taking my hook out, they're already thinking like about other things. So then I hit the armbar and they don't even see like what's coming. But like I said, like in a high level, like people catching that, like they're closing their elbows, it's getting harder and harder. But I'll figure it out. I'll figure out my ways to start to keep doing it.
Yeah, you've still been doing it well, even though you've been doing it for so long, and people are prepared for it. Well, Gutenberg, I really appreciate your time today. Do you have any other final thoughts you wanted to share about the event or about anything else?
Nah, man, just like appreciate, you know, like I'm very honest with my words, with my opinions, and what you guys start doing now. You know, the Grand Prix for all the belts and for all the weights. I saw the girls and the boys like last weekend, and that was an amazing tournament. And now the absolute, and I just, you know, appreciate IBJJF for the idea, for the opportunity, you know, to give us to show our work and give us a good prize for the tournament. This is amazing, and you know, just appreciate you guys to have me in the podcast, and hope to see everybody in the 18th.
Well, you guys can watch Gutenberg. You can watch all the rest of the amazing field, the IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. It's going to be on Friday, November 18th, only on Flow Grappling. Thanks again, Gutenberg. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Brother.
We'll see you guys soon.